So I'm sitting in the parking lot waiting for my first appointment, and I wanted to give you an update of all the appointments I've went through since the 28th, since being diagnosed with cervical cancer. So on the 28th, I was told I had cervical cancer, that it had came back, and from there, everything kind of just snowballed into first day of chemo today, which is the 16th of January. So it kind of came quick, but in between that time, there was a lot of appointments getting ready for this day. So my first appointment was meeting with the nurse practitioner at my gynecological oncologist. I believe I'm saying that right. So she just basically went through the chemo I'll be getting, which is cisplatin, and kind of the side effects and everything I can expect from there and what that will bring. From there, they made a consultation with radiology, radiology oncology. It's a lot of big words to remember. So basically, they told me what to expect with radiation therapy and the side effects from there. What I could experience, what I could feel, that kind of stuff. Basically, they cover everything. And if you have any questions, make sure you write those out and have those ready for them, because they cover everything, but there are some personal questions that you may want to ask, or you just want to be curious about. So after the consultation, they get you scheduled for mapping. So mapping is them doing scans of where they're going to shoot the radiation, because it's very important for them to get it in the correct place so they can start to get the tumor shrunken. So mapping, I went in for a scan with oncology. Basically what they do is they insert with a needle, so it was not very pleasant, but with a needle they insert these like little gold beads, and that's for their scan to be able to read whatever they're trying to read. They do insert that vaginally. I'm assuming they put it like near the tumor, or like in the, I don't know what they did, but it hurt, and I know it was inserted vaginally, and I'll post a picture right probably in this area of what it is. So after the scan of that scan, they did let's see, they made another, I had to do another PET scan. So you have to do another PET scan, and along with that takes, I would say, probably about an hour to do, because probably close to 2 hours, because you get checked in, you do all that kind of stuff. That takes about a half an hour. Then you get the injection into your arm, and you have to sit for like 45 minutes for it to kind of run throughout your whole body. And then you do the scan, and then you do that, and then another day you have to do an MRI. So for the MRI, I think that probably took about an hour and a half, I would say. For the MRI, they did two different things. The first thing they did was they vaginally inserted a dye. So not with a needle this time, so that was a little bit better. Still uncomfortable because there's still they have to insert it via syringe. And I'm not talking like just a syringe. I think it was like kind of domed or whatever to fit in vaginally, so they could squirt the dye in there, and it adheres to I believe like the cancer cells and stuff. So they do that, and then they do a bunch of scans and stuff through the MRI. So what's funny is they ask you if you're claustrophobic, and I'm not claustrophobic. I'm not really scared of much, besides needles, ironically. But they ask you if you're claustrophobic, and my answer is like, no way, I'm not claustrophobic. And then you sit down to go into this MRI machine, and you're so enclosed in this small little area that a small part of you becomes a little bit claustrophobic. I'm like, oh, well, maybe I have it just a little bit, but not enough to be like, oh yeah, I'm claustrophobic. But it was enough to be like, oh man, being in confined spaces, probably not for me. So they do anyway, they do that. They insert the dye vaginally, they do their scans or whatever, and then they insert in your arm, they insert some sort of natural earth element or something like that. But the magnets that it helps, I guess, with the magnets that come from the MRI. I don't know. It's a lot of the hospital jargon medical jargon that I try to listen to, but in like the moment, because there is a needle getting ready to go into my arm, I'm kind of like freaking out. But they insert that, and you wait probably, a couple minutes for it to kind of go throughout your body, and that usually happens pretty fast. And then they do more scans, and then there are parts where in the scan where you have to hold your breath and sit very still. So they do those scans. So that MRI is over, and then you go in for like, they call it like tattooing, but you don't get tattoos. Basically what you do is you get it's like a scan, but at the same time they're marking you of where they're going to shoot the radiation to. So like right now I have marks on my stomach and on both sides of my hips with like a black marker, and then they put a sticker over it, and I had that done Thursday, and Tuesday is my first day of chemo and radiation. So it stays on very well. As long as you're not in the shower and you're like scrubbing it off and stuff, but the stickers that they put on over the markings pretty much hold it into place, and that's just for them to know where they're going to shoot it from come radiation day. They also take pictures of placements of like where they placed your hands and all that kind of stuff in case they have a reference point to go back from. So all that is leading up to, and then I did blood work in between because they didn't have some sort of blood work on file for me, so they had to do blood work in between there as well, and that was another day. So in between the 28th and the 16th, I've had all those appointments for scans, MRIs, blood work, all that kind of stuff. So, it's pretty difficult. Luckily for me, my job was able to work with me through this, and I would go on my lunches. I would take an early lunch, or I go on my lunch to do these scans, and I would make up that time on like my day off. I ended up having to make up like 4 or 5 hours, but I made 4 hours up on my day off, and then I just put in PTO time for the hour or so that I was missing. But luckily my job is able to work with me enough, so I'm not too worried about losing those hours. I did decide to take short-term disability for work through the chemo and radiation process. I pay for short-term disability. My company offers it automatically, but I pay for an enhanced plan, so it just gives me a percentage more of my paycheck. And I thought to myself, there's no reason for me to pay for short-term disability and then think I can, make it through radiation and chemo just because I'm, thick-headed or something. Like, I don't have to prove anything to anybody, so I might as well just use the time that I pay for and do it that way, so I'm not coming home exhausted or going to work sick. And I'm not the type of person to go into work and waste everybody's time because I'm walking around sick and not feeling well, and just having all the symptoms that they say is going to come with it, be with it. I mean, like, I'm not the type of person to go to work and waste that time. So I might as well just go ahead and take advantage of my short-term disability that my company does offer. So today, I started that yesterday on Monday. So For the next 5 weeks, I will be doing, I think I have 6 sessions of chemo and 5 sessions of external radiation. So that's basically 5 weeks every single day, Monday through Friday, of radiation, and 1 day of chemo, which chemo, it will last between 5 and 5.5 hours. So be prepared for that. Be prepared for a long day. And I'll post an update as well after chemo, because I'll walk you through everything that they have to do, because there's a whole process to start chemo that they have to do. So I'll make another video after chemo to kind of, so I'm more familiar with it instead of telling you what they told me. But basically, I just wanted to give you an update of what to expect between reoccurrence, basically, or I don't know if they do that with the first round, because like I said, the first time I just had a radical hysterectomy and I just had surgery, and I didn't have all this kind of stuff afterwards. I didn't have to deal with chemo and radiation. But if you're dealing with a reoccurrence, just be prepared for lots of scans, lots of x-rays, lots of doctor's appointments, and just be prepared to spend a lot of time driving back and forth. So, like I said, it's about 10 weeks of radiation and about 6 weeks of chemo. I thought they did both radiations at the same time, external and internal radiation. Turns out they don't. So, like I said, with me, they're doing chemo and external radiation together, because they're wanting to shrink the tumor as much as they can before they start internal radiation to get rid of it. Hopefully. Fingers crossed. So yeah, I will give another update. If you guys have any questions, usually I like to rewatch my videos, because if I miss something, I'll try to catch it in the next video or something. I'll have a lot of time to be posting videos, since I'll be off work for the next 12 weeks dealing with all this. So if you guys have any questions or want to know anything else, and if I have the answers, I'll shoot them to you. I'm trying to answer everybody's questions as they come. So day 1 of chemo and radiation, and I'm super nervous, and I'm scared of what is to come and what to expect, but I know in the end, hopefully, that it'll all be taken care of, and hopefully I won't ever have to deal with this again. So here's to day 1. And I'm gonna try to do a weekly update, or if anything occurs, do that kind of stuff. So be on the lookout for those videos. If you want to know anything else, like I said, just let me know and I can answer your questions. Bye.